So first and foremost,
I think the addition of pant leggings is really when you start to see your heroes get watered down.
can't even muster the ability to play straight pants that one.
Which is a good argument for absolute rulers.
Everybody is going to get behind me. They're all going to love me, and my support numbers will go through the roof.
When you hang out with the hero, it doesn't go well for you.
My grandfather
Yeah.
took the cob and just slid it right through the bar.
Oh, God. Okay.
And that became the dominant way our family did it.
Okay.
And so, in both of my marriages, they were treated to that.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah, rage haiku.
How do you imagine the rubber chicken point?
My grandmother actually vacuumed in her pearls. Oh my God, it all makes sense. We had the sexual revolution.
It
and-
might have just been a Canadian standoff. We're going to go back to 9/11.
Dude, get over it. Nobody understands what the Bill of Rights is supposed to be.
Agra has no business being that thick.
When the cultists win, we all win.
This is a Geek History of Time.
Where we connect nerdery to the real world. My name is Ed Blaylock. I'm a world history and English teacher here in Northern California, about to embark on a new job at a new site where I won't have to commute more than 50 miles each way. Very excited about that, but you all already knew that because this is like the third time I've pointed that out in the beginning of the episode. Who are you?
Well, I'm Damian Harmony. I'm a Latin teacher who is about to embark on a new job in a new subject at the same site.
What's the new subject?
I'm teaching drama.
What?
I know. Everybody says, too. They all say,
Well,
really?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Have you not already been doing that?
Yeah, it's a lot of that. But but that's kind of what I'm doing, and that's going to be the same commute. But I am rapidly transferring things from one room to the other. I have books that are 60 years old.
No shit.
Well, and those are just the history books. The Latin books I have are over 100 years old, which
Okay.
I'll get to keep those.
Like the
Yeah.
physical books.
Yes, yeah. I have a lesson book from 1894. I have a book that I teach myths out of for my level 3s from 1925. And what's most chagrining to me is that it won't be 100 years old by the time I teach it for the last time.
Oh, that sucks.
It's a kick in the ass.
Yeah, but I will say that is the advantage to teaching a dead language.
Yes, you get
So,
old books.
yeah.
So it's cool. It smells like grandparents without the emotional abuse. Or butterscotch. So it's,
Nice.
and you all hear this melodious baritone voice in the microphone with us. You might remember him from last week's episode. But just in case you don't, I'll do a little bit of intro. We're sitting here tonight with our guest, Teo Morgan, who is a huge goddamn nerd. But we're going to see how he's monetized that this time because life is a hustle. Teo, tell us about yourself. What do you do? Who are you? How do you do?
Yeah, I am Teo Morgan. That's Teomorgan, and I am the host of a role-playing game / comedy show called Diversity and Dragons. And I've very poorly monetized it. Mostly I dump money into it, like in the form of promoting it, in the form of trying to get enough so I can give, my other my cast members a little bit of compensation because they're all brilliant, and I just feel fortunate that they're on stage with me. And art supplies because I draw maps, by hand for the thing. Yeah. I had to build the thing that holds the. It's and then I have a costume that I piecemeal. I think I just spent $20 to get another piece for it.
Okay.
I'm really bad at the monetization. On that, what I'm hoping is that you build it and then it will come, like that. Yeah, not like that.
After a certain point, you build a critical mass. You throw enough money into the center of it, and like you wind up reaching, a chain reaction level where it actually starts generating power.
Yeah, but I'm basically almost breaking even at this point.
Nice.
Almost.
So
almost.
You're getting
yeah.
it. I remember I did the same thing with my pun show because I bankrolled it because I had steady income. And so I bought, I bought. So every show I made sure we paid people, but also I was paying myself a little bit.
Right.
And then once our business manager came on board, within 3 months of that, I was completely paid back for my investment.
Well, that's
and
great.
everything since then has been profit.
So, can I get Emily's number?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%. So, okay, last time, and by the way, for those of you who are Dune heads, we will be back next week with Dune, but we wanted to make sure that we squeezed out both of these episodes because on July 29th, Teo has a show starting at 8 p.m. at Comedy Spot in Sacramento.
That's right.
Where can they get tickets?
If you go to bigblackdice.com, it'll shoot you over to Comedy Spot's website, and you can buy tickets right there. They're $8, I think, right now.
That's great. That's
very cool.
Good money.
I think they're going to be $8 tomorrow and the next day too. I don't know what I say right now. But
well, they've got a little less than a week as of this recording. But all right. So last time we were talking, and we circled around to some really interesting stuff about the worlds that you were liking, and then you were kind of getting to something that both Ed and I are very interested in, but kind of can only approach as outsiders. And it's because the game was literally built for us as two white dudes. And built
with you know, so much in our culture is built with the assumption that the default is white guy.
I didn't realize that D&D is basically like FUBU for white people, for us by us.
Oh,
like it's for white people.
100%.
That does.
It tracks, sadly. I remember hearing. I don't think I came up with this, but I have since used it to explain things. Going through life while white is like playing on tutorial mode and being told that it's veteran mode.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know that.
Right.
I don't know. Is it that awesome?
Well, the thing is,
I know it's not that awesome for poor white people. You know,
it's
economic,
still pretty okay.
Yeah. I think you're just better off than other economically privileged people, but really, economic privilege is probably the best. That's
going through with cheat codes.
So
we're still.
I like this. There's a couple levels of privilege. Okay, what is attractiveness privilege? What's attractiveness privilege?
I wouldn't know.
Good question.
Because that's another one.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is that I've heard of. I'm niche in all the ways. So it happens to be a big alcove for that last niche.
And just to give credit for that quote.
Oh, yes.
The original line, John Scalzi, the science fiction author, is the one who said, white privilege is like going through life on easy mode.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
And then from there, it's been that, you know, and the corollary is too many of you think that like you're playing on veteran and you're not.
Right.
Well, my favorite quote about white privilege is, and one I can get fully behind, because I think it applies to all white people, is that white privilege doesn't mean your life wasn't hard. It just means that being white wasn't why it was hard.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that a lot of people are like, oh no, like they're treating me bad because I'm white, and I'm like, what happened? And they're like, they called me white. And I'm like, they said, but they spelled it W-Y-T. And I'm like, what else? Well, I could just tell they think that I think things that I don't think. What do you think? Well, I think that black people, there's no racism. And it's like, well, you do think that they...
So they told you, they held up a mirror to you.
They
basically just held up a mirror and it says, this is you.
But you didn't like it, and now you think you're being oppressed. Like, have you ever heard of living down to a stereotype? Because... you're doing that right now.
I think speaking as a white, I think that the whites, as a person without color, I think
you're pink.
Yeah, I am salmon. But speaking as a white, I would say that white people,
one of the whites,
yes, white people tend to think that racism is name calling.
There's personal racism, and then there's structural racism.
Right.
My question is if there's no structural racism, how come the personal racism is so uniform?
Right.
Yeah. I did a joke the other day that I said all these people who are mad about schools teaching critical race theory are probably also mad that Subway is teaching people how long 6 inches really is. But like, in order to understand the totality of that joke, you need to know that supposedly black people have bigger penises,
Right.
and white people have smaller penises,
Right.
which is a structural thing. It's part of our culture.
It is.
This communicated idea. So like, if you don't understand that, you're
Right.
not getting the full joke. So like, somebody from Japan might be able to get the surface.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like somebody from China might be able to get the surface, somebody from Russia might be able to, but you have to be here, inculcated in our culture, to understand the racial
It is
stereotypes.
very much the American male experience. At least again, I can speak for me, the American white male experience, to have a constant dick fear. Like, it's a rare thing that I found a fellow white who doesn't have some measure of dick fear, and it's the weirdest. I don't like calling it fragility, because fragility implies something is precious.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's brittle as fuck. Like, it looks good, and then you just flick it a little bit, and the whole thing crumbles, and it's just incredibly weak.
Well, I just want to say something.
Yeah, go for it.
As far as I know, the Morgan brothers, we dispel the myth that all black men are. Yeah. I mean, like my oldest brother once said, he's disappointed many a white woman with his high average penis. You know, like, it's like he's just. She's like, it's a little bigger, but
Right.
not really. I mean,
Right.
I mean,
Well, I also, again, speaking for the white male experience, it is independent of anybody else telling you that it's fine. Like, your experience, your explanation of how you experience us doesn't matter. It's what we experience for ourselves, and that's it. Because there have been studies done, surveys done, where like 80% of women are like fine with whatever their members, or whatever their partner's member is.
Yeah.
It's not the size, the girth, the length, or whatever that matters. And yet, universally, men, white men,
Yeah.
I can't speak for all men. But
well, I just want to validate that
Yeah.
fear a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just read another study that was done. That was, I think it was over 1,000 women. I think it was like 1,700 women, and they all said that if they're gonna have a one-night stand, they'd prefer the guy be hung.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if they're gonna pick a partner,
doesn't
then
matter as
that's not as significant.
Yeah, as,
you know?
as a priority for picking
Yeah.
a mate,
Yeah.
like long term,
A
partner.
Yeah, partner.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like that's way low on the priority list.
Yeah.
But like, you know, if we're gonna have a roll in the hay,
See,
and
that
that's
make-
all it is.
That
then,
makes sense,
you
though,
know.
because from a guy perspective, like, you have certain things, certain attributes you appreciate on a person.
Yeah.
And if it's a one-night stand, you'd be like, man, yeah, XYZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because
for a
guys are
partner-
very Frankenstein. They're gonna piece
Right.
together. If I could get a woman that these hands
Right.
and these earlobes with these boobs
Right.
and that colored hair and those eyes, those eyes that
Right.
squint like that, and their teeth got to be like, they have to be like that girl. What's her name? Heather Graham. They have to be pointy like that little.
Right.
And we get so down into and just want
Right.
to like build like a rector
Oh.
set woman.
Yeah.
Out of
But and then,
Rector.
yeah.
It- right.
Nice-
Yeah.
Nicely,
Yeah, but then if you found that
Perfect.
woman, you'd be like, I don't care what she thinks.
Right.
Like I don't care.
Right.
I just don't.
No. Shh, honey, don't
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
how women are too. Women are
Yeah,
very
well,
much
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, they
'cause
are like they.
people are people, and why should
Yeah.
it be?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're saying, it's equivalent. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
there is a layer of that, and again, like you get that same guy who, I mean, we could sit down and stat out the perfect mate for each of us, right? We
Yeah.
could stat it out, and then you could take that paper and in 6 years' time, check in with each of us, and our mate would maybe check off one or two of those boxes, because that didn't matter nearly as much when it comes to a partner.
That's
Now, when it comes to who you're murder hoboing with your dick, that's a different beast.
There's a
But-
phrase.
now. What
Yeah.
is a murder hoboing? Does everybody know that's listening know what murder hoboing is?
So a murder hobo is
I know what it
essentially
is.
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
In D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, you go through a world, and essentially, if it's I'm gonna say a poorly wrought game, with characters who are, or with players who just care about fighting and fucking, then you just go town to town killing shit and taking their gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just transient
Yeah.
serial
Yeah.
killers. Yeah.
Yeah. It's transient
pretty much.
serial
killers. That's a
really
still
good way to put it.
murder
Yeah.
hoboing, literally.
Yeah.
It's transient. Yeah, and you know, and the thing is, one of the things that came up last episode was talking about, you know, the development of like moving from game to game as you got older, and the development that I think all of us can speak to over time as, you know, tabletop role players. I think we all go through a phase where that's what happened at the table we were playing at, when we were the driving force behind it, or what we were doing.
I went through a phase where I was
the
reason that was happening.
So did I. I mean, you know, but then, you know, I think I wound up saying, like the other day, talking about role playing, you know, that you can kind of plot why people play the game on the way I put it was like on an XY axis.
Oh, like the liberal test? I mean, the libertarian
yeah,
test.
Like the libertarian, you know, collectivist, you know.
Yeah.
But you can you know, why are you playing this game? Can be plotted on like an XY axis, where the X axis is I want to vent my id versus I want to be heroic.
Yeah.
And then the other axis is I want to be me. And I want to be somebody who's totally fucking not me. I want to get
that's
away
really interesting.
From, like, and so, like, for me, I know exactly where I fall on that. Like now, at
Paladin,
40-something years old, yeah, I like way all the way over on the heroic end. Thank you.
I usually play a paladin or a cleric, and I like to convert people.
Yeah.
See, when I play a cleric, I'm always a shyster.
Oh, really?
Always. I'm always a con man.
Yeah. Because, you know, in real life, you don't believe in any of that.
Right.
So, like, playing a cleric, you're
so
like,
I guess
well, you know, I'm a cleric, so obviously I'm working.
I play it the way I want it. I play it the way I want it to be.
Right.
But I'm not a big believer in organizer
living. So you always play Paladin.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Because I want to be heroic, and you know, most of the time I want to be me being heroic.
Right.
For me, that's why I want to play the game. I want to have the ability to make the world a better place and be the one solving problems and, you know, defeating evil. You know, because in my real life, I don't have the capacity to go out and, you know, I can't go out and punch Nazis because there are legal consequences for doing that.
Yeah.
So, like, literally in a role-playing game a couple of months ago, in a long-term game I'm in, we actually wound up finding ourselves in a tavern right next to a bunch of Scarlet Brotherhood guys.
Oh, are they like
and
human supremacists or something?
Yeah, from Greyhawk, from Greyhawk.
Is that a real thing in the Greyhawk?
Yeah, in the Greyhawk setting.
Lore? Oh, okay.
The Scarlet Brotherhood is literally a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, racist organization.
Why do they give us such a hard time for talking about this? It's written in there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wasn't a big fan. I left Forgotten Realms. That was the setting I preferred.
And so anyway, we found ourselves next to a table with these you know, Scarlet Brotherhood guys, and my cleric, because we're playing it in Spelljammer, which is like D&D in space, for those of you who don't know in the audience. And my cleric character is like, wait a minute, I've seen these guys before, and I made a religion check, and my DM said, okay, yeah, no, there's Scarlet Brotherhood. And I knew exactly what that meant. And there were 2 or 3 people who didn't, like, at the table, virtual table, saying, well, okay, what does that mean? And in character, I explained to him, well, they're human supremacists, and not only are they human supremacists, but they're convinced that, like, this one group of humans is superior to everybody else. And our party bard, who's 11 in real life, says, I'm going to start picking a fight. Like instantly.
Yeah, because he just knows it's wrong.
He just knows it. And
the kids are all right.
Yeah, and literally, and then out of character, I said, yeah, basically they're fantasy Nazis. And literally everybody at the table was like, okay, yeah, no, we're rumbling. Like, we're done. Like, game over. I can't do that in real life because like I have a wife and a kid that, like, if I spend the night in jail, it's gonna cause problems. So, like, no, that's what I want to be able to do. If I'm going to, you know, act out, that's the way I want to act out. For other people. I
just want to open doors.
Yeah, well, yeah,
that's
says
it.
the monk.
Yeah, so I'm a monk.
Long story. But,
I can give a short version.
Yeah, but
we were playing a competitive at a con game. and somebody rules lawyered, and I didn't realize it was competitive. I just thought it was just this sprawling, like, 50-person game with 4 GMs. No, you're going to win something at the end. I didn't know. So I played a monk. Love monks. We opened the door, and a group of people decided that they were going to go in together, and they start shooting at us and stuff. And they were just like, God damn it. Okay, well, I opened the door, grabbed my friend, pull him in, close the door. And they're like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, how can I not do that? Like, you literally go like this, grab like this. I'm like 16th level monk. I can do that. Like, no, you can do 1 move action and 1 attack action. I'm like, okay, so is opening the door a move action? Yes. And grabbing my friends an attack action? Yes. That's all I can do for this round? Yes. So you can keep just firing because you got 4 attacks per round? Yeah. Okay, next turn, I'm going to pull him through, and then I'm going to close the door. Well, and they came up with a reason why I couldn't do that. And it was 3 rounds before I could open a door, grab my friend, pull him through, close the door. And from then on, the joke became monks, like, I'm going to have a big bad evil guy, and he's going to have butlers, and every butler is going to be a monk. And so, yeah.
Because that's what they do, is open doors.
That's what monks... and that's literally all I could do in that game. And so that became the catchphrase of, but that's what monks do.
That's what monks do.
So,
they open the door
to
wisdom.
If we're lucky.
Yeah.
All right. So, did I step on what you were gonna?
No.
Okay.
No, I think, but what's funny? I must have an opposite story to that. When I was a kid and I first got into this one campaign that went a year, I played this dwarf. He survived. But like, so the first night I sat down, it was a tavern scene. I come in and I'm supposed to meet the wizard and this other warrior. I'm a fighter.
Sure.
And I get in there and I decided, I'm like, my guy hates orcs.
Okay.
Like, my guy's, been ancestry, because I read I think I read the Greyhawk thing, and they're like, oh, well, I guess the people I came from, they ancestrally fight orcs.
Yeah.
My guy's a fighter. He's been on the front line. I drew his herald, or like a shield, and and then they go, okay, well, you're in here, and there's like across the table for you is another band of adventurers, and they look like this, and then I go, wait, did you just describe a half orc? Or is that an orc, or what? And then he's like, yeah, well, he feels like he might be half orc. And then I say something rude. I can't remember what it was. I said, I can't believe they're letting greenies in here or something. I think that's what I used to call them, greenies.
Nice.
And so, like, what I was doing is I was playing like what I experienced from the flip side. Like, I was like, and what was funny is all the other people in the game were white, and they hated it. They hated that I was being a racist, But
that's our thing, man.
Yeah. Well, then it just started like as greenies or whatever, and then the GM, to punish me, instead of just having them ignore it, like I had to do my whole life, like his non-orc friends actually backed him up.
Oh. Must be nice.
Because I didn't expect that.
Right.
I totally didn't expect that to happen. Instead of them gaslighting him, going, hey, why are you taking this? You're being so sensitive. Come on. You call yourselves greenies. Why can't he say it?
Right. You say greenie with a soft E. I mean, come on.
And I mean, you are greenish. Right?
Yeah, you are green. You're green, right? I mean, that's
like what?
I mean, am I wrong?
I mean, you called me your greenie. I mean, don't I get to say that word?
So we get in this big fight, and my character has 1893 strength, 19 constitution. I am like a monster. First level monster, but I'm still like a monster. I have like way too many hit points. I rolled hella good on
well, the 19 con.
Yeah, and so this is a low magic game though. Low magic. So like I wasn't allowed to have any magic items or nothing like that. And so they pick a fight with us. Now Ken and of course my buddy Brad, like he's a wizard. And so he's got like 2 hit points or something like that. He's afraid. This is deathly afraid. And then, but Ken's like, I don't really want to do this, but I'm a fighter, so let's do it. And so we proceed to pummel the shit out of these. We beat the shit out of these guys, and we win. And then, but then, like my buddy Rusty, because he's like, I can't let this happen. Like the racist just won, so. He says, you look over, and the barkeep's like, you need to leave. And he has a blunderbuss. I didn't know what that was at the time, And then I was like, a blunder what? And then he has a gun. and a black powder type, and I at that point I didn't even, and then I was just like, I'm attacking him, and I just like, and then he's like, what? And he's like, what? Wait, he's got his finger on the trigger, and then I go, I attack him, and I already rolled this stuff, and then he's all, okay, well, you can use that as your roll, because I hit him. I hit it like 18, and fucking with the pluses and all that, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but he gets to shoot first, so that may not happen, And so he misses. So then I like fucking kill that guy, jump over the counter, and then I go, and I remember I was in a friend's, like I was like, oh, I got a gun! I got a gun in D&D! I was so excited. I never had a gun in D&D, and this is a legit D&D game. I didn't copy this off anybody's character sheet, Like I'm not like cribbing fucking answers off of people. I got a real gun, and then I was like, so I look all around. I look under the counter. Like there's got to be ammo, right? Like he had it right here. Like, and then he's got a bag full of pottery shards, and then another bag that seems to be full of powder, and then there's like a little ramrod, and I go, I take all that shit, and then Brad and Ken are like, they left already. Like as soon as I attacked them, they're like, fuck this, I'm not doing this, I leave. And I was like, what kind of D&D game is it? Because every game I played in before, even the legit ones, everybody would just back your play. You're attacking. Yeah. I guess we're gonna murder this town. I didn't come here for that, but I thought we were gonna go destroy the evil wizard. But yeah, we got to kill the tavern people first. He's evil. He's like Walmart basically. He doesn't pay these people nothing.
We're in a Waffle House. This is what you do.
Yeah. So, but then anyway, I get this shit, and then
I gotta do that.
And then I run out of this place, and then as we're getting there, there's like the town guard are like, there he is, get him! And then they start shooting at, and then I don't have a fucking horse, but like they do, they both have horses. Then I say to Rusty, I go, I grab onto the bottom of the rein, like the strap of the thing, and then I just hold on to that and like pull like a fucking, I don't know, like Jackie Chan in Rush Hour or some shit under a fucking under the horse, and so I'm like grabbing onto that, and then he's all, well, you got to make a strength check because he's trying to be a hard ass, but when I swear, between the age of like 13 and 21, 20s, straight 19s and 20s off of any 20-sided die. I was the luckiest person. Now 1, 2. I burned it out. I don't, but I was constantly.
Is that ever a metaphor for aging?
Yeah, it is.
Jesus.
Yeah, dice impotence. But it's like I was just, and he was mad. He was mad because like the racists.
Right.
Not only did the racists kill the guy,
but the inversion of the racism.
Yeah, and then I got away. So like, and the cops were actually going to help the green guy. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't kill any of them. We got away, but but yeah. Then the next time I played, they were like, and then I was okay. I was fine. I got it. I had a gun. I chilled out, and then through the rest of it, he just basically was like, I'm just gonna put you guys straight into dungeons where you can kill green things. Right. And but then we'd get into these, like we were in the Caves of Chaos, and we were in this one thing. We'd killed a bunch of hobgoblins, or was it orcs? But we got to this room because some of those things were authored. They always tried to have a ecology and ecosystem in it. So we got to a room that was all like women and children, and then I was like, well, what do racists do? And then I was like, well, they're just gonna make more, So then I just like started.
Make lice.
I killed.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Yeah. What was that?
Nits make lice.
Yeah. So I think I killed the first woman, and then they were like trying to stop me. And then I killed the second. I like, it was all strength checks against them, and they're like weaker than me. And I killed the second one, and then I'm about to kill the kids, and then Ken's like, dude, he's like, they're babies. And then I was like, okay, we'll just lock him in another room. And then but it was interesting because of the journey of Digris Gory, who's named after this character from a comic book called The Realm. But it went from being that fucking awful, like just my projection of like, this is what you do to us.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what you do to us, And then all my friends, they were just like horrified that I would want to. And I'm like, I'm not playing this because I want to play this. I'm playing this like because I was kind of a thespian back then. Like I was like, I picked an identity for my character. I never attacked the party though.
Right.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing is I tell people if you're going to be evil, and my guy wasn't. He was lawful good, but like. And because of D&D, I was able to get away with it because I only attacked evil people.
Oh my god!
Because I did. That was the other thing is I had Brad.
License.
I forgot to mention that because I asked Brad. I go cast detect evil on them, and they were evil. So
because
I could just kill them.
Evil
I could just kill them.
Wow.
And it doesn't affect my
I'm glad you didn't make it political.
Yeah. So, but then I don't think the barkeep was evil. I think he was neutral, but it turned out, but that was after we didn't detect anything on him. But yeah, so then gradually Digger's Glory became like more, and then the next kind of characters I started playing every character I play, I like to not do that anymore for one. But like because of alignment in D&D, I that bothers me too. Like if there's an alignment in the game, then oftentimes like I'll like see if I can buy a helm of alignment change, subdue evil people, and then just put it on their head.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because then take it off and be like, okay, we can't kill him now. Like I do I like do the opposite now. You know, like but before I was like, this is what you're like, and now it's like this is how it should be. Like, why are we killing everybody? Just everybody get a helm of alignment and just start, just start popping them on
conversion therapy.
Just fix everybody.
And in one game, I convinced the GM that is it possible that whoever made the helmet of alignment change could make a helmet or a warhammer of alignment change. So I had this like buffed ass like half orc cleric that would just go around, and his point was like he wanted to go to all the dungeons, or all
whack-a-mole.
Any place where his people were and hit them to get them. Like, because I always look at it like this: if D&D says there's these inherently evil people, they are cursed.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a good thing that you can't see the social function of altruism or whatever. You know, I mean, even if you are like a inherently, like pathological, like a psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, we have therapy systems set up in the real world for people who exhibit sociopathic tendencies.
Yeah.
Or psychopathic tendencies.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to tell them the pragmatic reason they should choose to do altruistic things.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But you can still get them there.
And this brings it right back around to the world of comedy. Because,
For everybody in the audience, there was a conversation while we were not recording about that. But anyway.
Yeah, no names, but I mean, there's, there's a lot of people that are self-serving, and sometimes their selfishness actually does them harm because they can't see the bigger picture.
Right.
Where they need to get along with people. You need these people.
Play nice.
You don't like them, and you're mad that they did something, but you need them because they're going to be in the same town as you, doing the same shows, and they're in the same business. And if you got to fucking fight them every time you see them, that's not good.
Well, it's that quote. We're trying to build a fucking society here.
And evolutionarily, cooperation is our superpower.
Yeah.
Like that's actually, like, if you look at how we operate compared to other animals, like our ability to work with each other and build communities and be altruistic is what actually got us off of the plains. And
it got us off of the food chain.
Yeah,
ultimately.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
You can, but then I'm going to ask you a question because everything you've said is absolutely leading me to asking you this question.
Okay, I don't know if this question. So let me say this real quick. That thing that cooperation is our, is our advantage, evolutionary advantage. The interesting thing about the Cyberpunk game that I played with my buddy Sal, that was the first time I'd seen, because he explained it after sometimes to me. I was one of the only people interested in how he was GMing.
Sure.
What Sal would do, the first thing he would do is he never ran a module. He had what he called plot bubbles. So he had a book that he wrote all these ideas in. So, and he told me his theory is like, look, in most people that run a game, they'll be like, first you go here, then you go there, then you go here, whatever. And maybe there's some branches off. I don't do that. I come up with a scene. I know you guys are going to get in a fight in an alley. Wherever an alley is, it can happen.
Right.
It doesn't need to be on this and that street.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You went to Bleecker Street instead of Broadway, so you don't get to have that fight now.
Yeah, like I don't like, and then I was like, because I'm so used to going room A, room C, room, whatever, and then
you have TPK'd for that.
Yeah. And then the other thing he would do is when he was like, because he'd have some he'd have so many threads. Like I said, he'd have you're going to go get a illegal weapon from this guy, so then you could go use it on this cyber psycho. Full conversion Borg, because this is the only thing I'll punch through his armor. And then, as you're going here, you get a phone call from your sensei saying there's some weird guys outside. And then you go, okay, well, I'll be there in a minute. You hang up. And as you're going to kill the cyber psycho guy, then you get another phone call from somebody saying, yeah, your sensei's dead. Click.
Right.
And then while that's happening and you're going to go over here, then what's happening is all the players are going, who the fuck killed his sensei? I bet it was the Megacorp, or I bet it was that one poser gang we pissed off, or I bet it was the Chinese Phantom guy that, you know, was like a superhero but is actually a serial killer, you know, whatever. And we're all like speculating. Sal is taking notes.
Yeah.
That's the best way to run a game. Is throw something in front of the players.
Yeah.
Let their paranoia run the game.
Listen to them do the epileptic tree.
Yeah, and it's like a buffet of like, you know, because then he could be like, that's a pretty good idea. That's a fucking great idea. That sucks. But if I match it with that and have that, fuck that, that's a monster. You know, like, that's the best idea ever. And so you're just basically like, I call it like cluster computing.
Yeah.
Fucking as a GM, if you can take your ego away from it and realize that you've got fucking, and this is one thing I like about new school games more than old school games, because you remember like D&D, the culture of D&D is, oh, are you playing in Damian's game?
Right.
Are you playing in Ed's game?
Yeah.
Are you playing in Teo's? We all fucking took time off to do this.
That's true.
You know, and you're sitting here saying, well, I do the most because I planned and whatever. We know you're like that, dude. You would have planned something else if you weren't planning a D&D thing.
Yeah.
Like, the fact is that this dude at the other end that only has this amount of time because he's got 5 kids and he volunteers time at a fucking homeless shelter and whatever.
Sure.
Your plan is not better than what he's doing. But thank you. Thank you for doing that. But also honor the fact that he took time out away from the homeless people, away from his family, away from his job to be here so you could run the thing that you obsess about.
Right.
You know, like, and so I like new school games because they honor that, like that everybody's there and that we all contributed, and then also that you deserve to fucking have, like, why did you come to the game? Like, if you came to the game to play like a hero and then the GM's just like, no, you're all anti-heroes this time. You can't be a fucking hero. And then you're like, well, is there some way? Well, no, I have this idea, and you're stuck in it.
Yeah.
You know, that's how class. I'm sorry, I pointed at you like that.
Yeah,
That's fine. You're stuck.
No.
You know, but that's how it is, right? And then I used to run into so many GMs that they're like, well, if they don't like it, they don't have to play. And then I'm like, well, what if nobody fucking played, bro? Like, and then, like, do you ever notice, like, you're the GM that doesn't have a persistent group?
Yeah.
You know, like, why does everybody go away? Because you're a fucking narcissist,
right.
bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like,
because no one wants to, like, this is a thing that happened in video games in the early, or in the late 2000s before the teens, was that the film directors started getting into the story making of a lot of first person shooters and stuff. And pretty soon you were just kind of, it was no longer a sandbox. You were just kind of in the movie.
Yeah.
It was like riding through, having been to Disney World recently, it was like riding through the Peter Pan ride.
Yeah. It's like,
you know, there's a track here that you're going to follow and you're going to go through this.
Yeah. Oh, and look, your dissociative memory.
Yeah.
Like, that was all the games. Okay, so
I just want to say this real quick.
Okay,
That just reminded me. I bought a 5e themed game. It's Neverland. This guy published a book, and it's Neverland, but it's in a hex map.
Okay.
And it's really cool. I love the art in it. It's like very stylized, but kind of like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, if you guys know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny you said that because I don't really love Peter Pan,
right.
But I saw it and I was looking at it and I was like, this is great. Like, I want to do this. Like,
cool.
I want to create something like this for Diversity and Dragons.
Sure.
You know.
Very cool.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
So in the last episode, we talked a lot about issues of. Ultimately, you started off colorblind because
I was a kid.
You were a kid, and this was your normal. And as you grew, you started noticing different aspects of the game and people telling you to shush, but being okay with other stuff. And then, this is political. And then we kind of got into that. So for anybody who, for some reason, decided they were going to start with part 2, there you go.
Oh yeah. Did we mention all the misogyny, homophobia, racist jokes that I don't know why, but I think it's because I didn't quite know what they were. You know. Yeah. Like when you're like between 8 and whatever, you're like, wait, what
makes that funny?
Yeah, you're like, what's the, you know, because all the slurs are just so freaking weird.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
really
like
are.
Yeah. You're like wet and back. Like what is that? Who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, you know Mexicans. Like, no, I don't. Like, what are you even fucking talking about?
And they don't know. That's the thing. They don't know that it goes back to the river and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then I've had some that were smart enough to know that. Well, because like whatever. But like my friends who are Mexican did not migrate here. They live here.
Yeah.
Your family migrated here.
Yeah.
You know, like
migrated over them.
Yeah.
You know,
you're they've been here.
Right.
You know, like and so like but anyway, it's like all that stuff used to baffle me. I think
Sure.
partially because I'm just too fucking literal,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But like, yeah, all of it. Then you have to figure out, okay, well, why do you think that, and then why do you say that, and whatever. So it took me just I think a long time and then start being like, okay, because you know, I think as a kid too, you're not used to being empowered to make choices for yourself either.
Also true.
You know.
Okay. Yeah.
D&D
Yeah.
is one of the first instances where, and I see it on my kids' faces, they get paralyzed for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, right, I have to make all these decisions and there will have consequences. Not, here is your prescribed cone of effect. You know, here you go. So,
Well, yeah, and you do. I more meant like making social choices about like, you know, I'm with these people and I've never
gotcha.
seen this side of them. I've played with them a lot on the playground,
Right.
But never once have they said these things. But now that we're trapped at a table and maybe they're hyperactive, I don't know what's going on with
Right,
them, but
right.
they got to start saying weird shit about why are you telling me who you hate or who your dad hates or who your mom thinks is responsible for the downfall. But anyway, that stuff, it happened, and you know, misogyny, homophobia, racism, pretty regularly. Not like nobody burned a cross at the table, you know. I mean, it's just regular, run-of-the-mill, everyday racism, you know. And you know, just like mom used to make, whatever, you know. But like, you know, like, but but you know, it's there. It's just been there, and you know, some of us. I mean, I will admit, you know, I'm one of those people who thinks that racism, homophobia, sexism, I have it in me. I was raised in this culture. I was taught to be like that.
It's
you know?
part of, as we say, the water that you swim in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that like you know, through self-examination, I realized, oh wait, I am homophobic.
Right.
Like when I hear that, they're not talking about someone else. I am homophobic. You know, I was inculcated into a society that taught me I call my friend, you know, a slur for gay people.
Right.
Because they didn't throw the basketball right, or because they're crying because they skinned their
because
knee,
they're late, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Whatever
Yeah,
it is.
because
Yeah.
they don't like what I like. You know,
Right,
whatever.
right,
You know,
yeah.
whatever. Just
Yeah.
for some reason that was okay when I was like very little.
Right.
But then, like when I got older, my mom, you know, had a relationship with a dude. He would be bi sometimes, you know, like, and when, I guess in dry spells or whatever. But they became really good friends. And after they had dated a little bit, and then I went over to his house. He played D&D. This motherfucker had hella D&D books. He had I'd never seen the box sets. I'd only played the books.
Okay,
But he had all the box sets. He used to let me play fucking, I don't know if it was Bard's Tale or whatever, one of those old text. He had text-based games. When my mom and him would hang out, they'd have barbecues, and all his friends would come over. And that's when I was like, why are all these dudes here? Some of them are pretty, you know, like whatever, you know, why is he wearing makeup, you know, whatever. But it was a trip when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I would be in the den, just being a fucking nerd, you know, and they'd be doing their own adult things out there. But they were all hella nice to me all the time.
Of course.
And then when I got to be an adult, and like, you know, maybe 10 years later, I found out when he passed away from AIDS, like, oh, he's gay?
Right.
I never said that word again, and I generally won't ever say it because, like, that dude was like he seriously, literally was like my dad. He did it, like, he got me 2 different bikes. He, you know, he helped my mom out when she needed money. He fixed my mom's car, and he was like her best friend, and he was always there for me. I had this, like, he took me to, like, I had a summer school of the arts at Mills College, you know, and he took me to that and brought me back, and he did all this shit like a dad or stepdad or, you know, long-term boyfriend would do.
Right.
And I was just like, why the fuck do I say this shit? You know, why do I, you know, this guy and all his friends, you know, they've always been nothing but nice to me. And, you know, they never tried. I didn't even know they were gay. That's how, you know, like, I didn't know they were gay. They never tried
Just
anything.
like you didn't know your friend was Honduran.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never did anything to me because they were interested in men. Right. You know, they were not interested
Well, just like
in,
there are plenty of people I don't know are straight.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't come up. It just, that's a slice of who they are.
You know what I want to say that is I that's an interesting point you make because when I was a kid I was really fascinated at that some gay people had like a lisp or an accent or you know like spoke effeminately or whatever. But my kids are asking me about that because that's still presented in media sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then they've run into some people that do, and then I just said, well, you know, it's not all gay people speak like that, but it's kind of like if somebody from New York, they're gonna talk like other people from New York, and so since gay people tend to want to date each other. And they want to be around other people that won't persecute them for being gay. What is that? Most guaranteed that's probably going to be other gay people. You end up having, you know,
A higher concentration.
Yeah,
of
and then
affect,
they pick up each other's affectations. But not all gay people will talk like that, even if they're in that group, because they might socialize outside of the group. But it's all about socialization. And my kids are like, okay, yeah, that makes sense,
Yeah.
But I find it interesting because, like, I'm in a different place than, like, my parents were. Like,
Right.
My mom was, like, trying to get me to be kind, but she didn't have a vocabulary to discuss a lot of these things.
Sure.
Well, because nobody did.
Yeah, nobody did. Yeah.
I mean, part of it again is like the pattern on the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff is back during that time period. In the world that we all grew up in, even Damian being the child that he is,
Significantly younger.
Yeah. But in that time period when we're talking about the late 70s through the 80s into the early 90s, the vocabulary didn't exist. To teach us how to be tolerant, because the vocabulary, the tools to talk about it still had to be developed.
That's true, and and it was reflected in role-playing games. One of my favorite supplements, because I really loved Life Path after Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
There's a series called Heroes of. The first one was Legends, and the first edition, the author wrote in there, like, you roll on a table to see. If you have deviations, one of them was homosexuality, and it said it's a mental deviation, blah blah blah, and it broke it down in there. And I think they did a second edition where they changed it. Yeah. But I mean, like
DSM changed.
Yeah, these.
Yeah, well, yeah, because literally. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because they had an editor that was not much of an asshole as the previous guys. What happened? I don't know if they read the DSM, but he maybe. But I know that guy still wanted it to be what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and but I noticed, like you're saying, that language. I mean, as far as it's concerned, the professionals think it's a mental disorder. People who study it think it's a mental disorder at that time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so what are people that don't? That's the expert. He says you're crazy. Like the experts say you're crazy. So obviously
that's
you're crazy.
The base, and then we might go up from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you fly against it, which is weird, right? Because back when the experts were presenting things like homosexuality is crazy and go ahead and burn up all the dinosaur juice you want, whatever. As long as the experts saying that, they're good. But now that they say, oh well, homosexuality is a natural condition, race is a construct, gender is a construct, the planet is burning. Oh, those I don't believe in science anymore. Like let me tell everybody on my iPhone. Like, let me get on Facebook, which, is programmed by structural, software engineers and other people that, but I don't know. But like, I didn't really think about that the language, because of course I see that, but then I'm like, well, how do you write books?
Well, I mean, we didn't know
without having them be that.
We didn't know what sexual harassment was, really have a word for it until Anita Hill.
Yeah.
As
that was
a culture.
Yeah, that was 91. And then it still took another 8 years before spousal rape was actually on the books.
My mom said, because my mom went into the workplace pretty young, and then, but at the time she was in the workplace, she said that there was no protections.
None.
That if a guy grabbed your boob, like, they just say, well, if you don't like it, it's kind of like the thing. If you don't like it, don't play. It's the same thing as like the GM, GMs that are being assholes. And it's like, because you could go tell your boss, and they're like, well, you're a woman. What are you doing here? What do you expect?
And then there were always have something that you're carrying in front of you when you go into the elevator. Yeah. Always sit in the back of the elevator. There's all kinds of shit. All right. So as
the question. I'm sorry, we had a question.
Yeah, as fun as all that is to talk about, I really, really, really want to bridge the gap from you noticing a lot of stuff that Ed and I didn't in your games, that he and I didn't, because again, it was defaulted to us. And how that led to, so we've kind of covered, you noticed a lot more shit than he and I ever noticed in our games. How did that get you to Diversity in Dragons?
Well, that's an interesting question. Like, okay, so how the origin of Diversity in Dragons? Yes. I was, I was taking many improv classes at Comedy Spot, because I was trying to get better at it. I'm not inherently good at improv. Like, it's hard for me. I'm good at writing. I'm good at writing, but if I'm like giving, speaking, if I'm doing my material, doing my set on stage, and then somebody interrupts me, I don't freak out. Like, there's some people that yell at I don't do that.
Right.
Because there's definitely a difference between a heckler and a helper. Like, a lot of times when I'm on stage, the people that interrupt, they're just excited to be there.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, hey, I know what you're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
I have
also
something
included in the
yeah. Look at me, I like you. You know, and then you're like, fuck you for I can't remember it. You know, and like
I had a rhythm.
Yeah, or you know, whatever you say,
God
you know,
damn it.
like you know, if you just cleverly turn their shit like, I like you too when you were quiet, you know, whatever, you know, like,
Right,
if
yeah.
you just like, there's all kinds of quick way. But I started realizing my goal should be to entertain, not just to fucking tell them my set of jokes that
Sure.
are obviously this one wasn't so engaging as to shut that person up, you know,
Right.
you know, like maybe there's two notes I should take: one, crowd work; two. Write a better joke. Like that joke was boring.
Make
you know,
it
like
more
they,
compelling in the beginning.
Yeah. Like,
You know, there's actually lessons for pedagogy involved in that.
100%.
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. If you're having classroom management issues, look at what the fuck you're doing with the kids.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like.
As a
you know.
comedian, I'm an incredible teacher. And as
Yeah,
a teacher, I'm a middling comedian.
But so to skip from that to like that, so that's why I was doing improv. And
Okay.
I was doing it insanely because you know, coming from stand up where
Right.
you're taught to grind,
Yes.
I was like asking every improviser, how do I grind on this? Because there's no open mics.
Right, right.
You know, I can't just go to a bar and start doing improv. You know, like and it's just so hard. So what I decided is I just like keep taking classes, and I'll even take the same class over and over from different instructors because different instructors are going to teach different ways. I happen to find that I respond well to women female instructors.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just my pattern, you know, like but you know, particularly Betside LeBron, who's on my show, is brilliant. And then Justine Lopez was brilliant. Mel Gebhardt
She's
is
on my
brilliant.
show.
Yeah. Mel Gebhardt, they were all, and then for me, short form improv, like you might see in Whose Line Is It Anyways, was very helpful because like long form improv, since I'm so like blinders on, I'm like
Right.
trying to track what's happening instead of look at the big picture. But short form, it's just a game.
Right.
You know, it's just like, hey, we're all gonna do an accent and getting in and out of a car. I can do that, you know. And I'll knock it out of the park. You know, I can do an accent, get in this side, and then
Have you seen me play Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Let me tell you that time I LARPed.
But so go from there to, you know, I spent a lot of time with Brian, you know, Crawl from Comedy Spot, and so I took a sketch writing class, did some other stuff, but there was a point where he said, like, because his son loves D&D.
Okay.
Loves it. And I think Brian was like just trying to be like, I don't quite get it. I have an idea. I got a geek show coming up. How about if I give you like a 5-minute thing? Is there a way we can just do a set like where you explain D&D to me? Like I just ask dumb questions or whatever. And then I said, what if I just run it? And then he's all, can you do that in 5 minutes? And I'm like, no, that's what's going to make it funny. Like, you know, like, and so he said, just take it. Okay, I trust you. Just do whatever you need to do. And then, you know, I'll just show up and then we'll start with some questions and then we'll get into it.
Okay.
So it ended up taking like 10 minutes. But basically, I wrote this whole adventure where he's going from room to room and the doors are closing on him like a...
Irising.
Yeah, like irising on him and the cavern walls and he doesn't he's like he was a halfling and he's trying to run through and whatever and he finally gets to this one room and then he gets forced out and he's like out in the light and it turns out he got shit out of a dragon.
Okay.
And then he sees the rest of his adventuring party there, you know. But that's what he was doing, is going through the digestive system.
Right.
But Brian was great. You know, he's just like, I was like, oh, here comes this other one. Oh, and there, inside of there was actually there was a goblin riding like a small pig or something like that.
Sure.
And when Brian woke up, the goblin took his shit. And then he ran off. And my goal was to get him to follow him. But Brian was just all over this way, all over that, you know, like in the eardrum, whatever, you know, I don't know. He was just all over, but it's still, you know, he just ended up getting shunted out and I railroaded him because it was 5 minutes, you know. But yeah, then after that, it did so well, you know, Brian said, well, people responded so well to that, I think you should pitch a show. So then I was thinking about that and I was like, oh, I don't know if I got that in me. So I go in the back room and I'm just kicking it, and then Dejan is in there, and Dejan just had a killer set, you know, making fun of Spider-Man, doing all kinds of, because he's doing geek humor too, but like, you know, in stand-up, and Dejan's like, man, that thing you did with Brian, bro, like, do you think we could do that? You know, and he's like, you know, do you think they'd let us call it Niggas and Dragons? And then I said, no, they're not going to let us put that on the marquee, but that's why diversity is in it, because I have a pet peeve about the word diversity, actually, because whenever somebody says diversity, they mean niggas. That's usually what they say. This play, we need to get more diversity in here. Let's hire one black person.
Right.
You know, like, this show is very diverse. There's one black person in it.
Sure.
You know, like, you know, and if we can make the school more diverse, you know, let's get a black quarterback. You know, I don't know, like, whatever. It's just like and so that's why diversity popped immediately into my head. Then I go online. I remember I off the show, I was telling you guys I'm in all these Facebook groups for games. Mm-hmm. I put in all these D&D groups and Fate groups and Savage World groups. I just posted this thing. I said, "How do you guys feel about the word diversity?" Every D&D group, except for the ones I'm currently in, which is like 3, I think, or something.
You culled the herd, basically.
Every D&D group took that post down. Because it got so much flame. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, because you were bringing politics into their beloved D&D.
Well, what I realize in these groups is that they're so inclusive that they include every fucking troll, alt-right asshole, whatever in there, and they don't want to rock the boat. So then the mods and the admins are dropping these posts they're killing these posts because they have to monitor them so much. You know, because they're sitting there modding the fucking group.
Because
they're getting pinged all the time from every fucking
not.
and then it's just amping up. And then what happens, of course, is like when people are in these little groups like that, they call their friends in. So then their friends start piling on. They start shit posting, doing all kind of calling people names, and then now all of a sudden they got to worry about if their group is going to get banned because it's hate speech.
Oh wow!
So there's this whole big dynamic. I don't want to blame D&D, Gary Gygax, whatever, but this dynamic on the internet where alt-right and fucking just that fascistic, racist, homophobic, sexist, misogynistic, incel, whatever you want to call it, all of that shit. They are protecting those people. And the reason they protect those people is because if those people aren't protected, they will get their fucking group shut down. They'll get them zucked. You know what I mean? Because they'll just keep doing hate speech on their fucking shit until the algorithm picks it up.
Yeah, if you
and people are afraid of being, you know, the bad guy, kicking people out of the group. Like all of the best groups that I'm in, like across the board, to me, are the ones that are like, no, here's the deal. You're going to get one warning. And then we're going to kick you the fuck out.
Yeah.
If you're the one being hateful, intolerant, if you're the one making misogynistic, you know, racist jokes, you're going to get kicked out.
Yeah.
Like having active moderators to say, you're being an asshole.
It definitely matters who's the mod, but I noticed some of the mods I was interacting with, like I messaged them. I was like, hey, what's up? I posted that thing about diversity and took it out. And then they're like, yeah, dude, we don't have to say. It's got to be game related. And I go, it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, it's about who's at the table. Yeah. It's about.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's totally game related.
If you open up the player's handbook, the second chapter is races.
Yeah.
So diversity clearly is game related.
Yeah. Like, and then I go, but it doesn't have dice in the thing or whatever. But then I went away dejected. I was like, oh, Diversity in Dragons has a good ring, but it's not going to be good. And my buddy Rob, who is Romanian American, he's always been picked on because he's different. But he said to me, you know what, dude, you should still call it that, so those people won't show up.
Oh.
Yes.
That's genius.
It is genius.
The gatekeepers.
I had to talk to Rob, somebody who's neurotypical, to get that, because like that didn't occur to me. I'm like, I want to make it what it is. You know, I want to make it what it is, and I want to make sure people can cut. But then when he said that, I was like, yeah, of course I don't want those people there.
Right.
They're gonna scare away the people I want there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that Diversity in Dragons is a thing, because it's not a thing that I did like so that only people of color and people on the LGBT spectrum and you know, it's not just it's for anybody that recognizes that having many voices makes a better product in the end. You know, like. And that's so then I did call it that. So then the first show I ran with stand-ups because as I said, I forgot to say, on the same geek show, Emma Haney was on the same show. She did a set, and then so she came in and she said, Teo, that was really cool. Like, can I do that? And then I was like, oh my god, because between Emma and Dejan,
That's a
these are
solid
two
lineup.
of my favorite comedians, and this is my favorite on
Yeah.
TV, anywhere. They're two of my fucking favorite comedians, and I just happen to know them. And then I'm like, they're gonna be in my fuck. Yeah, we can
Yes.
try it. Would you guys mind playing together? That would be hella cool. And then she's like, yeah. And then I said, Dejan told me I've always wanted to play, but I never knew anybody who played. Because where I grew up, just nobody. And I go, I know. I was fortunate that I went to school with a lot of white kids, and then I got introduced to this because, like, the kids in my little Section 8 part, we weren't really doing that, But then, what happened is I asked her, "Are you the same as Dejan? Like, you never got to play? Like, you never knew anybody that played?" And then she goes, "Oh no, I knew people. There's all kinds of guys that played at the pizza place I worked. They were just creepy.
Right.
Like I didn't feel safe with them. I feel safe with you and Dejan.
Right,
Yeah. And then I asked Jason Bargert, who because
yeah.
He's on the Punch Show all the time. But Jason Bargert, Jason B is like one of the only comedians who treated me like a person when I first started. Everybody else is just like, why are you wasting our 5 minutes of open mic time?
Wow.
But Jason,
Yeah.
he was pretty new because he came from North Carolina and he just didn't give a fuck, But so the thing about Jason I say is Jason is important because I need somebody who's as Latino as I look, because he his mom's Puerto Rican, and dad is of Irish extraction as well. But yeah, that kind of blocked it out. I had I was like, this is gonna be good. But then the reason the show evolved a little bit is actually because of input from Dejan and Jason, because I was trying to. The thing is as we know, Damian and I know, stand-up comedians are good at burning down anything but themselves.
Yes.
Like if you're not getting the laughs, you're gonna make fun of this person, that person, whatever. They're gonna take something down.
Yeah.
You got to take it down. So then I noticed that a really regular mechanism was to make fun of me or make fun of the game or and it was funny. It just wasn't what I was going for.
It wasn't immersive either because you're constantly you're pulling the audience out of it.
Yeah.
You're getting meta in a way that is inherently deleterious to what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and decisions weren't getting made on the part of the characters.
Right.
So the characters are just basically on hold while everybody on stage is like servicing the laugh, And I'm like, and this is why improv was important, because I realized if we just do the story, there's gonna be stuff in the story you can make fun of.
Right.
We just need to do the story. So I talked with them a lot about, can we actually play? Well, let's play. Let's play a real game of Diversity and Dragons on the table, rolling dice on the table. So you guys, because I know you guys haven't actually played, except for Jason, played Villains and Vigilantes.
Okay.
A lot, yeah.
That's fun.
But we'll actually play, and then you could see, what it's like to be the character, whatever. And because I can't give you all guys improv classes, but I can.
Yeah, but I can show you how to do this thing.
Yeah.
For real, quotes,
But we could just never sync up our schedules on that. And then so what happened is, again, like I couldn't, at one time, Dejan had to, he couldn't be available because of a show that he's doing. He's getting paid. He's actually getting paid. And then Jason had to ditch out a couple times. And so I started rotating in improvisers. And Brian, I talked to Brian. Brian had mentioned that might be a good idea as well. And so I started rotating in, and then one time I had Ruben and Betsaida on at the same time with Emma.
Ooh, that's a solid lineup.
It was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Brian actually said, I think you should. He said you may want to ask them if they can do it regular. And then I was like, they never would. There's no way. I know that Emma was like down, because she's like the homie, but like, I'm sorry, I'm an asshole. I keep referring to Emma as she, and I just recently learned Emma is they.
Oh, I
her
didn't know
pronoun
that.
is they.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah.
So
I
Emma,
just-
they.
Emma, yeah, they is
they.
the homie.
Yeah.
They are the homie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and Emma, but then like. I asked Ruben, and he said, "Hell yeah!" Because
Nice.
Ruben, and then Ruben and I started playing Pathfinder with Corky, and Daniel, and some other improvisers I can't recall off the top of my head. And then Betsaida, I just asked her, and she was hella gracious and did it. And then it's just been hella like smooth ever since then. And Betsaida never played a role playing game before this.
Okay.
But her improv skills are just such that she could just be there and see that there's a story happening. How can I be a part of it and make it better? You know?
Yeah.
And
Okay. So that's the origin.
yeah.
Tell us the format. Tell us how it works. Like, don't give away the entire thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not good at determining what trade secrets are. The basic thing is though I tried because I incorporated things I do because I started playing Fate a lot for about I think 3 years. I was running Fate games.
Okay.
And again, remember I was like saying I wasn't feeling D&D.
Right.
But in Fate, in D&D you hide the map from the players.
Right.
Right. And in Fate, I was finding that I was, in D&D, though, I did use like a lot of tactical maps. Mm-hmm. So you'd usually be trying to translate what you saw in the module to a tactical, like a whiteboard type of map or something like that. I can't remember what they're called, the Chess X type of map.
Not a hex, but just squares.
Yeah, squares. Yeah. I did use hex for GURPS, because when I ran GURPS, it was hex-based. But yeah, anyway, the point being is that when I started playing Fate, they use a system called zones. So they don't measure like the squares. They just say like this room would be a zone. And then
Marvel did that with areas.
With areas?
Yeah.
It's probably borrowed. Yeah. So that is also a zone, and then anywhere there's a door, that's another zone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how big it is, that's the zone.
Right. Right.
And it's because it's really just a way to determine entering and exiting spaces and who's in line of sight without having a lot of complicated rules. You know?
Absolutely.
So, but that got me practicing drawing big maps. So then. And then I'm gonna bring somebody else. Dyson Logos is a guy who blew up Patreon with just hand-drawn maps. He does old school hand-drawn maps.
Oh, cool.
He's real big into OSR, and I believe he also identifies on the LGBT spectrum. I didn't know that at this time. I just asked him because I said, bro, like he does a lot of non-commercial maps. Like you can use his maps for personal use.
Oh, cool.
And so, because that's what his Patreon is about. He puts out maps, and then you pay him, and then he just keeps doing it, and then there's just more content that people can have available.
Right.
Yeah, but if you go to DysonLogos.com, I'll just plug him right now. There's a whole archive of all his old maps, and so I asked him. I said, bro, like I need this show's coming up, and I need maps. Can I can I blow up your maps by? And he's all, dude, yeah, do it. Yeah, fuck yeah, because we knew each other from Google Plus back when Google Plus was had a plethora of RPG people. And so he said, that sounds awesome. So I did it. And the main map of the main two maps of the world are Wokeland. That's the continent of Wokeland. And then if you go to the east of Wokeland is a town that's on a cliff called Diver City. And both of those are transcribed from Dyson maps. But I learned how to do that because I was running a dungeon crawl with Fate because people said you couldn't do it.
Okay.
And so, because it's too narrative and it's too, but I was just running straight up Dyson's maps and populating each thing just like, and blowing the maps up hella big because I wanted people to see how great his maps are. So I just blew them up big. And then what I would do is like in the game, like you can create aspects in the game. So like if you set a room on fire, I just write on the map, room's on fire. Room on fire, and if they found like a magic item, I would draw it on the map, and then I would write, and then like if they declared things that should be true, because that's something about old school Fate that I liked a lot. They make it declarations. So like if you're in an old dungeon and the GM doesn't describe it, but the player can just call out, well, I'm gonna grab one of the torches off of the wall.
Yeah.
And then I'll light it. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
The GM didn't say there's a torch there, but why do you have to ask?
Right, yeah.
Just say that there would be and then the GM can then say, and this is something I learned from GURPS, a lot of the GURPS GM advice. They said just let if you're in a dungeon and the player goes, I'm going to go chip one of the flecks of granite off the wall. And I told all my players, I would always tell all my players this, but there's no mechanic in GURPS. And I'd say, you could tell me there's anything in the world, and if I don't like it, I'll just say, well, you go to chip off the granite and you actually realize it's slate. I'll just tell you what it is.
You can yes and or no but.
Yeah. But why not just say it's granite? But the reason I might be saying it's slate is because that's important to the
absolutely. If there's an overriding plot reason why you can't grab a torch or why I need this to be more difficult for you, then grab the torch. Then I will get it there.
Yeah.
But if not, then yes, you grabbed a torch.
But I could just easily say, well, you're looking in the hallway and it turns out you're right. Your experience, adventure, you've been through a lot of dungeons like this. This this hallway reminds you of this about several that were designed by the same dwarves apparently, but they must have not got that add-on because like there's just a table in the corner, but there's a lantern already lit. And there's an ogre asleep at the table as well. You know, like then just like and, you know, like
or you see broken sconces. Whatever.
Somebody's been through and intentionally broken this.
Yeah.
Why have they done that?
That's a good question. Yeah.
But I tend to like I go way over the top. Like I'll just do it like a long riff and part of that is railroading because I just want to get to the ogre. Hey, and the ogre. He wakes up because you just reach for this thing where you're supposed to, and you scrape the wall. But anyway, But the
okay, so you got the maps.
I got the maps.
Okay, so
I wasn't done with Fate, but like one more thing: the declarations. That's called a declaration, and that thing should be in every fucking game. There should be a mechanic that just explicitly in the book says players can make shit up. You know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that takes what I learned from Sal, and this is where I drop back to Cyberpunk. Sal, listening to all of us in our conspiratorial mindset, was really kind of doing that already.
Yeah,
we were saying things, and he's introducing them, but in secret. But if the players just know they can do that, then they will do it more often.
Yeah, and there is a thing that happens. Again, I game master for my kids who are 11 and 9 now. And they sometimes get risk averse because their characters are too precious for them or whatever. And I always tell them, like, look, if you do nothing, you aren't heroes, and what's the point of playing? If you do something and it kills you, at least you went out a hero. Now that's two ends of the spectrum there, but also like if you just sit there and you're worried about protecting your precious character, and I said this to my kids fairly frequently, a boat is safest in the harbor, but that is not why we build boats. And, depending on their level of frustration, they're like, yeah, okay, we'll get moving.
I just got that. I'm sorry, it took me a second.
No, it's fine. But it's very much you create... D&D absolutely came from an adversarial... very rules are rules as written, and if you're not trying to kill your players, you're not doing them the good service.
Yeah, like
it comes from that, and therefore people become risk averse immediately.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even a question. That was a lie. So I've been working on this thing. I'm probably going to introduce it if I publish Dungeons & Dragons, because I think I did tell you I want to make it more crunchy than the stage version.
Yes.
But we already talked about this. This is exactly what I talked about. But I'm just going to say it here because I think everybody should do it.
Okay.
Don't make 0 hit points. Don't make 0 hit points death. Like make 0 hit points lack of agency.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Consequential.
Yeah, because you've been talking about Fate. That's what happens in Fate. Is like you have the option of either saying, okay, well, you took me out.
Yeah.
This is what happens. I'm comatose in the hospital.
Right.
Lost a limb, whatever. Or no.
I'm dead.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like
the player gets to decide.
Yeah. But this is how I wanted to die, or I've still got more left in the tank. How about we do this instead?
But I'm gonna. I had this moment, like an epiphanal moment for myself. I'm not trying to say it's really super great, but for me, my style of play to integrate the Fate that mechanism from Fate into D&D, super easy. Don't need to change any mechanics outside of this. You hit 0 hit points. You are now out. You don't want to get to choose what happens to your character anymore. If anything went past that, I count that as a negative, like you would typically count to -10.
Sure.
But I'm gonna go further. However fucking far.
Mm-hmm.
And then that thing is an injury. It's the injury that did you in, that put you on the ground, and you write that next to one of your stats.
Sure.
And as long as you have it there, you have to roll at disadvantage against that stat.
Okay.
And you heal it normally with healing spells because it's a wound. It makes sense now, right?
Yes.
Because it's not just hit points. It's a fucking wound, and the wound is that hard. It's that. It's that.
Right.
And so that right there is something I want to put in. I've never seen anybody exactly do that. That's something my buddy Mike kind of did in we had some disagreement, but in D&D Redux, it's similar. I want to talk to him about it again, like because he's really brilliant. And but I would like that to be what happens, because then that way you can still walk around with a fucking wound on your strength that's you say gaping chest wound, and still be going around, and people might be like, well, that's not realistic. Well,
Neither are goblins.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's not realistic to take 99 hit points when you have 100 and just have one left, and you're fine.
Yeah,
Like
there's no,
you know.
it's not realistic to get into a fight, get beat up, and not be limping.
Yeah.
The next day.
And then what you could have is you could have the same rules you have, like the stabilization. The first aid check. You stabilize the person. They have a gaping chest wound. It's not gaping anymore. It's a chest wound, and then you've got the realism is in the rolling at disadvantage. Mm-hmm. You're packing it in there. It has a consequence now, unlike one hit point left from a pool of
Well, and if you go with the hit points, it goes right back to the tactical game that D&D was spawned from.
But this gets me thinking, like I think my kids would make the same rationalization. That's rational thinking. To think like, I'm not going to risk myself because I could die.
Right.
And then I won't get to play this character who I love anymore. But if you make it so that, you can do this, but your character is going to suffer. Mm-hmm. And if you think about that, and this comes all the way back to why did I start playing? It wasn't to see Bilbo die on the first page.
Right.
That it wasn't. Yeah. And he never did. There was no point at which Bilbo was... I was never afraid for Bilbo's life. I was like, what's going to happen next?
How is he going to get out of this?
The reason I love Conan the Barbarian is because he lived.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was short. And you know what I loved even more is what fucking James Earl Jones did to him.
Yes.
Because that movie isn't about Conan. It's about Thulsa Doom and how fucked up he is. And how dope he is at the same time. You're like, that dude's smooth as fuck. He made that woman jump off the thing. That's how smooth his tongue is.
Right.
He's like the highest level pimp in all of Hyboria. Like that. And I really think that's what it was. That's what it was. Is that
No, I don't disagree. He's a priest, so
yeah. I mean, this idea that death, and I'm not saying it's not true, but I think the people that say that risk of death is that they can't play without it, I think they're wrong. They just haven't played games.
I was gonna say they're used to. Yeah. They are used to. You know what they are? Those are the kids that are used to doing all the extra credit to get the A in the class, and then they run into a class where they actually get graded on the quality of their writing. And they're like, but I did all the things. Why don't I get the thing I've been used to? I learned this system. I have gamed this system. I deliberately picked a toad as my familiar, so I get a +2 to my con, and I'm going to spend the whole night making potions, And you're like, okay, I mean, you won at that thing, but none of that matters because you lost an arm. And stuff like that. Yeah.
So I feel like I have to add an addendum because I know there's some people, because I think there's different levels of play. So there's some people that are still playing RPGs at the tactical, at the tactical origin level. Those people, I'm sorry that I said that. You're not wrong. You need to die because you're playing like a individual war game.
Yeah.
And
that's how they get down.
Yeah,
that's how they get down.
Yeah, and usually, like if you are playing that kind of degree of game, then like making a new character is fun for you. You probably like can't wait to roll a new one to see what happens. I want to roll to see what this is. That's the exciting part. So I don't mean to say that doesn't have a place in gaming. I play like that sometimes, but if I'm running a game, that is not why I'm running the game. And when I volunteer to play a game, my greatest hope is that my friend Sal, he's passed away, but that I hope he's possessed somebody, because we never died in his game. We just suffered immeasurably compared to any. Like dying is not anything. It's not shit. Yeah. If you play Cyberpunk and this arm is cut off and this one's wounded and you took a wound to your chest and you can't do anything you want to do.
Right.
I can't do any. I mean, they saved me. They, I'm not dying, but I can't afford a cyber limb yet. I got a cheap ass one that we ripped off of this guy, but then the Ripper dog gave me herpes. Whatever. It's just like his game was so fucking gritty and hard that I'm like, dying ain't shit, really.
Right.
I mean, it's not really anything. And that's what Fate made me think, because Fate's cool in that Fate doesn't get as like crunchy as Cyberpunk, but they do a similar thing in that, like I was saying, they have consequences. So you get your there's like, I can't remember them. There's like mild, moderate, severe, and if you take one past that, it's extreme, and that extreme one replaces one of your aspects, your normal aspects. So you might have like an aspect that's like can see in the dark. Well, that extreme one might be that it fucking took out one of your eyes, and it replaces can see in the dark, or something that. And but you get to pick as the player.
Sure.
You get to pick which thing you get rid of.
All right, back to Diversity in Dragons, though.
Okay. I'm sorry. That's the long vision for Diversity in Dragons, to kind of incorporate like new school and old school,
and to make it a publishable game. Now, so I'm gonna hang on to that part. What is your goal in publishing that? Like, why do you think that adds a good to the gaming world?
Well, because there's a lot of things. So a lot of people are here publishing games and advocating for diversity in gaming and whatever. But like, I think one thing a lot of gamers don't want to admit is that there's just social dynamics in the mechanics of the game. There's social dynamics in our culture of play, whatever, and these things are not welcoming. And then further, like how we socialize impacts how people intersect, right? Because if you're hanging out, like if you're just a regular, like I had a buddy who's a plumber, and a buddy who's works at UPS, and I met them because I knew this guy from doing movies with this other guy, and I'm just meeting all these guys, and I love them all. They all happen to be pretty much similar colors, different ethnic backgrounds, but similar colors.
Sure,
but meeting very and it's not their fault. These are the social circles within they run, and the schools that they went to, when they were younger, and so on, and it's systemic. It's systemic. They were in this neighborhood that had a school that had this population, so that's who they. This is something that bugs the shit out of me. Damian and Ed that systemic racism is their get out of jail free card. That's their get out of jail free card. Why do they oppose it? That says you're not at fault for being racist. This system did it to you,
right?
But this system made you racist. But then they want to say, no, I'm not. They just rather say, I'm not racist. That other guy who, flies the
individual choice.
It's an individual choice. And what I do is not racist.
Right.
No, what you do is also a form of racism.
Right.
That you say, when I hope, a black family moved in, I hope our property value doesn't go down. They'll be like, that's not racist. That's just based on statistics or whatever.
Right, yeah, that's economics.
Well, you're certainly not helping by, by not going,
but you're validating that system.
But my goal is, and it's a fucking lofty. It's, but the reason I want to, like, I've always wanted to publish a game. I've always wanted to take all the ideas. I really love D20s. And I don't like Fate dice. I played Fudge before Fate.
Yeah.
And I like what Fudge dice do. And I like, I like the bell curve they create. But one of the things I had to decide is no matter how much I personally like the mathematics of them and the beauty of them and all this stuff, when I play with other people, they don't like it. Because what happens in Fate is you roll these dice that have negatives and they get you a number from -4 to +4. And it's a bell curve.
Yeah.
When it goes negative, they feel like the dice are robbing them. It's a psychological thing.
Emotionally, having played a couple of Fate games. Oh, God, yeah.
And I was trying so hard to work around it because you can use D6s and do 2 different colored D6s, make one positive, one negative. I found a better response to that.
Yeah.
But as much as I love Fate, it's built on that framework that is kind of repugnant to a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dice are a turnoff to some folks.
Yeah, and they're really strange. There's no numbers. They're 6-sided, but there's no numbers. There's 2 blanks, 2 minus, 2, and I love it. So when I played Fudge, I loved that shit. I started just playing Fudge because you could do so much with that.
Sure.
And you really can. The other thing I love about Fate and Fudge is it's fractal. So like what you can do is like you could for and I'm probably gonna borrow this shit for like a dungeon. I don't have to fucking stat every fucking monster. I could say goblins in this have great attacks. That because they had words and they equated to numbers. Sure. So they are great at attacking. They're superb at trap building, whatever. And that's just for every fucking god. This dungeon has that. Or you can just write. You could make it a more of a macro. Goblins, great. Whatever they do to you,
right?
It's great. And it's like how important are the goblins? You can decide in a fractal manner using the same system over and over and over.
Okay.
It just makes it easy to wing it. And that's what I want. I want the game to be fucking easy to play. I want it to be easy to get into. And I want there to be some platform where people know if they're playing that game that diversity or inclusion. That's a better way to say it. Inclusion is inclusion dragons doesn't sound good, but inclusion is important to these people. Whereas if you play D&D, you never know. what you're getting
right.
into.
Like
Yeah.
you ran into.
Yeah, a
Time
lot.
and time again.
Yeah, sometimes I run into a D&D groups. It's like, no, we're not all like that. I want a game where if you play that, nobody's like that.
So, like your friend
know.
told you, keep the name diversity in there
Yeah.
because it'll chase away.
Yeah, and hey, if these assholes start playing Diversity and Dragons and then they show up to places and they're like, oh my god, this was really fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why I hate you
Right,
guys.
might need to pop the hell of alignment change on their heads.
But that's why I want to
No.
publish a game. The reason I have the show is because I think I love stand-up comedy. I love stand-up comics. I love, well, not all of them as we discussed, but
Yeah.
I love improv. I love drawing maps. I love running games. So it's like this show was like it's the only thing I can do that incorporates all of those things. So that's a passion thing, and I just happen to have this other thing that is a value, I guess, of mine that I've attached. And but the wider, if I can get myself out of the pit of hell that I find myself personally in my life and get myself to publish it, that would be my goal, is to create this game where people just know it's on the front, it's on the cover. Mm-hmm. We didn't just put a bunch of pictures of black people and Latinas and whatever in boob armor in here.
Right.
This is who we want playing.
Right.
We want these people playing, and we're not just going to do it by saying, "Hey, look, you're in here on this page." Don't look at who wrote it.
Right, yeah.
Don't look at the contributors or the play test. I'm not saying
Right.
I don't know how far Wizards of the Coast went with play test. But I do know that like there's been some
Not far
problematic.
enough.
Yeah, well, and there's some
Yeah,
problematic individuals that got kicked off. They're not in the book anymore because they
Right.
were consultants, and then they got found that they were, alleged.
shitty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
alleged like sexual abusers or whatever. But anyway, that's why. Thank you for asking me, Damian. I think that helped me synthesize it. I'm going to play this. I'm going to record it. I'm going to snip this out. I'm going to put it on my phone. So every time it rings, it's like, I'm doing this for this reason. I'm like, that's right. Don't forget it.
No, that's a good goal. It sounds. I hope it's doable.
Yeah.
Well, there's only going to be like 5 people to play it. But, that's those 5 people. They're going to be the people.
Gary Gygax started with printed paper that was, bound for $50 or whatever.
Yeah, but my goal would be, of course, to make a system that I really enjoy playing and I think is good.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and-
with anything you're going to do like that.
Yeah.
I think that has to be a default setting too.
Yeah.
Like it has to be a good system, because now we live in a world where all these systems do exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gygax had it easy,
Yeah.
whereas now it has to be a system that's
Yeah.
good, because you're gonna have so many people be like, well, if it's a shit system, then I don't care about the thing, and I'm already either it's a polarizing name, which I think is I'm always a big fan of polarizing things because you can see where people line up.
Yeah, I just don't get why it's polarizing. But I guess I get it because propaganda has forced this, just like critical race theory or climate change or any other thing, has been associated. But that's kind of good because I guess then they won't buy it.
Like you said,
don't give me your money.
Yeah,
It sends it's protective coloring. It sends a signal.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. It's poison. I'm poison. Don't eat me. Yeah.
Well, monarch.
Or if your metabolism works a certain way, well, now I'm fucked because you're gonna eat me. But it's
jellyfish and
gonna
turtles.
Yeah. So you talked about when you were talking about why you wanted to do it, and we're running on with our time, but I do.
Oh, do we go over?
There is one.
Close.
It's not. I'm not too worried about it, but I do want to ask, because you said, with D&D specifically, and gaming in general, like as a cishet white guy who wants to be part of and run when I run a game, a table that I can legitimately say, no, we're not like them.
Mm-hmm.
What would you advise me to do in order to make sure that the game I'm running and the table I'm at is like not just safe but like welcoming? Like,
yeah, well, that's hard because that's hard to say because I don't know if there's a one size fits all kind of thing, but I do think just what I started doing is being more promiscuous about gaming. Like when I started playing Fate a lot, and I was trying to find myself. I was like, I don't want to play D&D anymore for a while because I just kind of tired of it because there's always that guy at the table. It's not the whole table, but there's that guy, and then his friend, and then the person who thinks like that guy but doesn't tell anybody, and then so you're just outnumbered. You know, you're outnumbered. I mean, you can't win in that scenario, and then you have to listen to that guy the whole fucking time. And but I think what I started finding is that I would just look up at game stores who's running Savage Worlds, who's running this, and I started playing a lot of different games and interfacing with a lot of different people, and from those people I found, oh, I want that person in my game. I want that person in my game. I want that. Let me. These are people that are open to new systems, and they're open to, you know, and through playing with them, I saw that their values are similar to mine. So I don't think it needs to be open to everybody. I think the thing is maybe to just go out and find people, you know, that you want to play with, and you know, and when you're doing that selection, just like you would be like, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and eat stuff. I'm gonna go to the produce section and see if I can find some chicken. You know, that's what people do.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm in the produce section. If there's chicken here, I'll buy it. If somebody puts chicken here, I'll buy it.
Right.
You know, the chicken's on the other side, sir. Well, I don't want to have to force chicken on me. I just want chicken.
Right.
You know, I just want chicken to come to me. It's dead though. You know, like I don't know, but like you know, what I'm saying. That's what it's like when when I posted before they got torn down, the most polite objection was always I don't mind diversity. I just want it forced on me. Where the fuck do you live? You live in like 99.9% of the people around you are the same. How else are you gonna get it? You need it forced on you.
Literally moved to where it's impregnable. So
I mean, like, there's a guy who wrote a book and he called it White-topias. And I forget the guy's name, but he went to all these different areas where nobody. He's all, this is how racism exists, where they're without racists. You know, like because he goes to these communities, everybody there says they love him. He's so great, and it's true. That's personally. Yeah. But then none of them want to dismantle any of the things that make it so that it's more dangerous for this guy to walk the street. You know. Yeah. Like none of them, because cops are great. And I hate the government, but they're not doing anything wrong in that capacity. Right. You know,
Well, again, status quo. Like I've said a couple times, status quo leans authoritarian.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not really a lot. I mean, here's another thing to consider is I do think like when you're inviting people to the table that might be experiencing trauma that you don't experience, maybe like try to be a little more open about how they're going to be dealing with things differently than you do. You know, because I know that like most of my friends, I've kind of decided. I think a lot of my friends are on the spectrum, and that's why we get each other.
Right.
Like it just so happened. Like, and it doesn't matter what. Most of my friends are mixed. You know, but also kind of like super geeky and like very focused on like gaming or some like fucking thing that has a lot of rules, and they know if you give them a chance, they'll just rattle it all off to you. And I started going, maybe I'm not the only one on the spectrum. You know, but like get out. I should get out of that. You know, like I should get out of like my friend group needs to include people that are neurodiverse, you know, that do understand why somebody is upset that when they're talking about like with you guys, I noticed this. I'll say something. I'll be like, hey, this thing happened. And then you'll be like, that reminds me of this thing. And then you'll be like, that reminds me of this. I never once go, why aren't they talking about me?
Right.
But that's neurotypical behavior to be like, I was talking about me. I wanted to keep talking about me. Is it really? Yes. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, usually people that are on the spectrum, if you say something, it'll jog their memory about something that's analogous in their life. And then I should say, will repeat it. Yeah. You know, like, and I've had to, going through therapy, I've had to undo that.
And it's an enthusiastic, like, no, I'm adding to what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's like this. Like, oh my God, I found you're just like me. Right. That happened to me too.
Here's this small slice that is similar, and now, by the way, there's 5 tangents, but yes.
Yeah, but since we're kind of in the minority or not as acceptable, we're supposed to adapt to the other side, you know, like to be like, oh, well, I need to learn to stop doing that. Right. You know, instead of the other person recognize, oh, they are being empathetic by recognizing my struggle is similar to their struggle. The thing I will say, this is a disqualifier, because I've had friends, real friends say this, I'll be like, you know, they'll be like, I don't think racism exists. And then I go, well, I wish I could agree with you, but unfortunately my own brothers get pulled over way more than I do because they can be identified as black from very far away. And then they're like, well, what did they do? Because I've been pulled over before because I was speeding and, you know, I didn't complain about it. You were fucking speeding. Right. You were. All 3 of my brothers have been harassed by cops. just for being present.
Driving,
You know,
driving while black.
Yeah, my middle brother doesn't drive, but, he has had, he is not, out of all of us, though, he's been in the military, and he considered being a police officer. I considered being a police officer at one point, but I had friends that were, and they told me about it. I'm like, I can't do that shit, because I can't look the other way.
Right.
But my middle brother is like, he's more one to say there's good and bad cops and whatever and sympathize. I think because he's so seriously considered being in law enforcement.
Sure.
But it's still the case that he has been discriminated against because, but yeah, it's just annoying. And then to know my oldest brother, he's driven and been harassed so much. He's proud of the scripts he has to deflect the racism that is thrown at him from cops.
Sure.
He's proud. He'll tell it, he'll be like, this one cop pulled me over because I was riding my Harley. And then he's like, where are you from? I don't recognize you. And then he's all, I've lived here 16 years. I don't know you. What precinct are you from?
Right.
And then, and so he's always so proud. But why does my one brother have so many fucking stories like that?
Sure.
Not one of my white friends has a story like that.
True.
And this is the thing. So if you encounter somebody like that, and then they if you have them at your table and then something happens that happens to them normally, that's resembling, they might react different.
Yeah.
And then you got to not take that personal. That's why they invented shit like the X card. That the person who's being offended can just drop the X card and not have to totally explain their shit.
Right.
And
Let
be
me unpack all my
deconstructed.
trauma for you. Right.
By the table that's predominantly not them.
Right.
Yeah.
You just drop the X card and say, I'm not comfortable with you might have to articulate, I'm not comfortable with the orc raping the goblin.
Right.
I know you guys think you're being fucking edgy, but you don't have to say that. You just say, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with the orc fucking the goblin. Drop your X card. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, you rub your eyes. It's not an orc fucking a goblin. It's
right.
I don't know what it is, but it's but it's and I think that that stuff's important. It's important to acknowledge that
Okay.
people that are especially people that are of different genders or say they've been harassed their whole fucking life, and they might have been experienced a sort of sexual predation or from people that are supposedly straight that fucked with them, that done things to them, whatever, and to just kind of take a moment and breathe when there's conflict at the table based on the differences, because there will be. I think that's why people group together in similarity, because they don't want that conflict.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they will gaslight their way out of it.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
We are running up on. God, we could do this for 4 or 5 more episodes, but I do think we owe people Dune next week.
Yeah.
But
you guys got me wound up, and I sound all passionate now. I can stop talking at any time. I swear.
I appreciate it.
If you guys need to, you need to wash your butts or whatever.
So here's what I'll say. I want to remind everybody that in just a few days' time, on July 29th at 8 p.m. at the Comedy Spot, if you go to bigblackdice.com, which, by the way, is one letter different than another word. That's funny. But bigblackdice.com, you can find tickets there. They're only $8. You owe it to yourself to go. It's one of the best live shows in Sacramento, and it's coming back. And make hay while the sun is shining as far as that goes. I want to thank you, Teo, for coming to talk with us and just get nerdy with us. It's been a hell of a night.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely enjoed it.
This was awesome.
Yeah. So, Ed, do you have anything that you want to recommend to people to read?
If you haven't finished reading Dune, get it done. Homework.
Fair.
Finish it. Only the first book. Don't worry about the rest of them. I'm not getting into the rest of them. They get fucking weird. I mean, it's Dune, so it's weird. But you get what I mean. Just, if you haven't done it yet, finish reading the book. That's it.
Cool. Teo, is there anything that you want to recommend people to read?
To read, I guess I should pick an actual novel.
No,
this
you
time,
don't have
because I'm
to.
just going to say another fucking game.
I've recommended movies. I recommended wrestling matches. I've recommended. So no. And if you have nothing you want to recommend, that's okay too. I mean,
Can I recommend 3 things? I feel like recommend 3
go
things. So I'm going to run the gamut. High on the Hog on Netflix is a show about African American cuisine and how it's influenced all of the United States. And one of the most interesting facts I learned from that is that some people speculate that all the recipes attributed to Martha Washington were actually the servant, because he was trained in France. Yeah. And
cool.
so but yeah, it starts in Benin and then kind of comes to mainland.
Very cool.
Yeah, and they kind of it's just super interesting. And I got my kids watching it. And I also think that there was a movie I wanted to drop, but I already did a movie.
Right.
The book, there's a fantasy novel. I love the first one. I like the first two. This guy named David Farland wrote a book called Rune Lords. And I love this thing. I've always wanted to put it. I've wanted to try it in GURPS and Fudge and Fate. And what it is he said he was trying to write a Tolkienian kind of thing, and then he scrapped that, and he just wrote something completely different. Rune Lords, what it is there's these lords, and they have this special kind of branding iron that's made of a blood iron, I think they call it, and it extracts properties from people, and then they can put it on themselves.
I started reading that series. Yeah, that was amazing.
And then they end up with these huge, these weird strategic things, because if you get the person has to be willing, but they can extract brawn from you, and then so they'll put that on their warriors, multiple brawn, 1,000 brawn on one guy. So then they have to house all those people though, because in order to keep the connection, they have to be alive. So then they house them in these big fortresses, and so what will happen is that in these wars, they will try to assail those fortresses to destroy the dedicates, so then that person becomes weak again.
Nice.
But they can do smell, they can do glamour, you can be the most beautiful, your voice, and so that's what I recommend, because it's a totally different look at things that could happen.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to recommend The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. We talked about neighborhoods, we've talked about structures, and this one I actually has been recommended to me a number of times. I'm going to pass that recommendation on, and it's basically it's a look not just at redlining, but also racial covenanting and all kinds of other HUD and other what do I want to say, government agencies, and how they've kind of reinforced old Jim Crow in new city planning. So definitely
Sounds like a really uplifting, positive read there.
bunch of fun.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
I got one more. Yeah,
Okay, go for it.
This is nonfiction. Race is a 4-letter word, the genesis of the concept, by C. Loring Brace. It's a textbook, but it actually breaks down the origins.
Nice.
And then has a lot. It's a multidisciplinary kind of thing. But I loved it. It's really dry though. I will say that it's not.
Sure.
Well, being a textbook, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
okay, cool. Thank you.
Well, let's see. They can find you at bigblackdice.com.
Well, that's where they can find the show.
Okay.
Yeah. And then again,
where
if you
can
want to
they find
follow
you?
me, big_black_dice at Instagram or Twitter.
There you go.
And you can just look me up, Teo Morgan, on Facebook.
Cool.
Or Diversity and Dragons.
All right.
Go ahead.
And you?
Well, you can find me on TikTok as Mr. Blaylock. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter as Blaylock. Where can they find you? There's so many
Harmony.
places they can
Yeah,
find
well,
you.
let's just stick
You're
to them.
everywhere.
Harmony on Twitter and Insta, and then twitch.tv/capital puns. And you can find my pun show there. So,
There we go.
all right. Well, again, thank you, Teo Morgan, for being on our show.
Oh, thank you.
Really
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, loved having you here.
Yeah. For Geek History of Time, I'm Damian Harmony.
I'm Ed Blaylock, and until next time, keep rolling 20s.